I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Mount Ascutney School District Board. I'm going to call to order at 6:33 p.m. on this Monday, January 5th, 2026 at Albert Bridge School. Online. Our second order of business right now is any changes or additions to the agenda. I don't have any. None? Nope. All right, hearing none, I will move on to approval of our minutes from December 1st of 2025, and I will take a motion to approve those minutes. Second. All right. Any discussion?
I have a comment.
Sure, Elizabeth.
I didn't feel like the minutes really reflected enough of the content of the budget discussions. It seems like it was.
No, Leanna takes them.
She does.
Yep. Send her a recording every time.
So it didn't seem like it had, or I felt it was very different actual content. It just gave a rundown of who said, who spoke, but it didn't say what sentiments were expressed. And I think for the public who reads the minutes, I don't think they would have gotten very much information, actual information out of what happened.
So are we proposing updates to them, or is this just a general kind of going forward?
I'm registering my comment and I'm asking that yes, going forward and updates to these minutes, but I'm okay with being the sole person who registers that.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the minutes? All right, so hearing none, I will, I guess, take a roll call vote on these minutes. And I will start with Amy. How do you vote?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Elizabeth?
Nay.
Megan?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So it is adopted, and we'll take your comment into any consideration for future minutes. Thank you. All right. Next, we are on to public comment on non-agenda items or otherwise community announcements. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please know that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Public hearing. So if nobody else has a comment, I did just want to make the announcement that it is petition season leading up to town meeting day for school board seats. So every year we do have 2 seats at least that come up on our board, and a regular year we'd have 2. This year is no different. So if anybody intends to run for those seats, you would need to gather 60 total signatures, which represents 30 from each community. Note that it does not have to be 30 from each town, but it's nice to get people from both. That said, you could get 60 from one. That's okay. It's just representative of the populations.
What are they doing?
I would get into that. And I just need to quickly look it up because I have it.
26.
Yep. So yeah, by end of day on January 26th. So a few weeks left for that. And at this time, I guess I will let, since we do have people in those seats, if you want to, you can say whether you're running again or not. Or you don't have to say anything? Sorry, putting you on the spot there. It's just kind of a natural time to note that.
I am planning on running.
Okay.
I am not.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. All right. Any further comments, announcements?
Yes, Megan, Wednesday, 5:30 to about 6, if you want to swing by the Yates Farm.
Okay.
There is roughly 4 if you want to send me something. There's usually about, 6 or 7 voters there.
I'll let you know.
If you want to stop by and play with the dog or have dinner as well.
Great.
Or anyone else.
All right. If there are no other announcements, then we will move on to the administrative report. So I will pass it over to our
Yeah,
administrators.
Kate's gonna
Someone
share her
else?
screen.
All right.
Sorry.
Just hit share in the upper right corner. I'm sorry, slideshow. It's slideshow, not share.
Yeah. So a little wrap up from December and looking ahead to January. Just some, a lot of holiday classroom celebrations and before we headed off for the 2-week break. A nice winter concert with very, very good attendance. And I promised Theo I put this in here before I knew you were coming, but the National Honor Society does an amazing job of the holiday bazaar for our kids. And it's a highlight to see these little kids coming back with these gifts wrapped by high school students for them. Just a nice cross-pollination across the school. And they take such good care of the younger kids when they're coming through. So, and I think we talked with Theo about a few ways to even help more with donations and collections of wrapping paper and things like this. But just amazing and a really nice experience for the younger kids. We are looking ahead to our assessment windows, Star and Dibbles administered the week of January 27th. So that, rattles our schedules a little bit. It's a lot of work for our interventionists and classroom teachers. But that's going to be the end of the month. I'm very, very excited about our winter enrichment plans this year. We've done a couple things to maybe make the program more enriching and more providing some more different opportunities for the kids. I'm to typo on my slide already. We decided to not begin this week, right? In the past, January has not had any snow. We all know that's not true because we just drove here tonight. But our skiing numbers over the last 2 years have actually gone down. The number of kids skiing has decreased. But I think it's because of the really great opportunities we're offering to the kids on site. So I don't take that as any kind of negative feedback. Kids are just getting opportunities to do things that they haven't. So this year, that should say pottery, not potter. There's my typo. We have 2 theater presentations, one for K2 and one for K5, and 2 teachers will lead a small theater performance. Those kids stay in that group for the 6 weeks, and then they perform for the school after. We added bowling last year and it was a real hit. This year we added skating. The kids will travel to Hartford's ice hockey rink. They rent skates and everything there, so they'll be able to go skating. We have a real indoor art opportunity where they're going to be making banners or murals for around the school. Some indoor outdoor sports, and then another group will spend their 6 weeks swimming at the community center. So just some really great opportunities for the kids. And I like that they're able to choose. The kids that stay at school rotate through the 6 stations. So they'll each get to do one of those, except for swimming, they'll get to do one of those every week. We've seen a really nice increase in adult attendance at our leadership Assemblies, I think getting back into the theater, moving them to a Friday morning. We added just a little music at the beginning and at the end, and we streamlined the award process, so that students are not just trying to fit what we think leadership is, but they're being awarded for the ways that they demonstrated individually. So you don't have to demonstrate one particular characteristic to get the award. You're awarded for being the leader that you are. And I do think the student leadership team has been an incredible support. There's a group that works at the assemblies. There's another group that's working on the school environment, and then another group that's working on our community engagement events. And we're still holding strong at 25 members on that team. I suspect that a few would drop off and they haven't. So the concert pictures there, and our leaders are there. Some of our third graders studied weather and did their own little science fair version, like a 9-year-old version of science fair. So these are two sharing theirs. And then the Wednesday just before break, Robin French, who's one of our amazing support staff people. She used to be a florist. You probably know that better than I do. She offered an opportunity to teach us how to make like pieces, and it was just come if you want. And it was really nice. 15 staff members came. It was just a fun community event. And I think if we did it again, we'd have twice that many, because those who didn't come really wish they did. So we're trying to do more of those opportunities as an adult community as well to build our school.
When winter sports is on Fridays.
Winter enrichment is
Yes.
on Thursday afternoons. Yeah. And one other change that we've made this year is if the kids are not skiing, we are not participating in the enrichment. We'll just add it on to the end. We used to try to hold the enrichment, then we'd have to figure out what to do with 80 skiers, and it just made things a little more complicated. So now they will have 6 weeks. It just may not be 6 consecutive weeks depending on snow. But I doubt that's going to be a problem the way things are right now. So that's a change. Okay, do you want to go one more slide?
All right. Hi, all. Thank you all for joining. Sorry, I am remote today, but glad you all are able to join in. Just some updates for ABS December highlights. Just want to talk about our concert and art show. We had the ability to collaborate with our town hall to have a beautiful performance facility. It's just great to be back in that space. It really gives just a little bit of extra professionalism to the experience for our kids, for our families, and it's a beautiful facility. So we had a nice opportunity to share with our community there for both a day and an evening concert. The day before we got into break, we had our solstice celebration, which is also combined with our Skip holiday shop. The first 30 minutes was as planned, and then at 9 o'clock our power went down and our generator didn't quite kick in the way we thought it would. So we spent the next 3 hours in the dark with these beautiful lights surrounding us. It was quite wonderful just to see how everybody pulled together and made that happen. How lucky we were to already have the solstice and all the light stuff lit up for that last day. So super fun way to go into the holidays. We want to give a huge shout out to our Skip organization, which is our parent teacher organization, if you will. They've worked really hard over the last couple of years, and this past year really have just accelerated into moving into a clear vision of their role. They purchased a new ice rink for us, for the whole community, and they're really taking it seriously on how to help maintain it, as well as store it. That's a lot. It's a lot of work. And it comes at no cost to our communities. It's open when school's not in session to anybody who's in the community. Just a huge shout out. That ice rink is beautiful. It's being really well maintained. I'm super excited to have that out there again for the community. Our holiday shop, which our Skip and community members help participate in, much like they do in the Windsor schools. We don't have obviously the upper grades, but we do have community members who come in and just help wrap gifts and donations for the whole community. Just a really wonderful opportunity for our kids. We are looking with Skip to get a new shed to house the ice rink, as well as a lot of other stuff that Skip supports, like our Halloween walk, those kinds of things. So just heads up that that's coming. We're working with the town to make sure it's in the right place, and that it's the appropriate size and does the things that it needs to do. And then they also worked very hard to get Kinko gloves for our students for the rope toe. Sorry, I'm not a skier. I know it's one of the two. It's either a rope toe or a toe rope. But as you hold on to it, it's on the gloves. So they worked really hard to get some donations and some low cost, high quality gloves for that purpose for our students, as well as some of our staff. So great shout out to our Skip organization. Thank you all so much for that work. Over the past month, our exploratory has sort of focused in on a couple of things, including our concert and art show. One of the goals of the exploratory, which we do on Fridays, is basically a double time period for staff, particularly our classroom teachers, interventionists, special educator, to work together to think about how to work on flexible groupings for students, looking at the data where the kids are. So we've been working with that over the past, trying to figure out how that's going to work. And starting this week, I'm super excited to share that our K-1-2 is going to a full weeks, 6 weeks of both math and ELA. And I believe I have Jackie on the line who just can speak to that. Jackie's our kindergarten teacher. Sarah Day is also here, who is our first and second grade teacher. They're collaborating with Kelly Donald to create more of a flex grouping. So I just want to pass that off to Jackie or Sarah, if either of you would be willing to just kind of share a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, I'm Jackie. I'm the kindergarten teacher over at Albert Bridge. And to piggyback off of that time during exploratory where Sarah, the first grade teacher, Kelly, the interventionist, and I have met for the past while to discuss how can we support K-1-2 in their learning in our flex groups that we already do on Fridays, meaning flex groups, meaning we look at all the students together and we say, okay, how can we best support these students and meet them where they are? And we have 3 certified teachers that we can break the kids up into groups with, not necessarily based on age or class, it's based on ability. And so this is something we did last year. We continued this year, added the literacy flex groups, which today I was in a special education meeting prior to this, and the OT gave me some feedback saying, hey, you know, the kiddo that was struggling with holding a pencil, I've seen growth since your fine motor focus groups that you've started. And that was, I wish I could have recorded her feedback when she said that because that was awesome to hear. So as Jennifer said, for the next 6 weeks, we will be working in a mixed age classroom where there will be 3 certified teachers. The benefits of that is students are able to learn at their own pace. We're able to give really targeted instruction to the students, either one-on-one or small group. And there's a lot of opportunities for leadership and mentoring just within the class because of having that age difference within one space. It's a bigger community for the students and builds their social emotional growth, and the academics will continue to stay strong. So we will be back. I know we have another board meeting February 2nd, so we can share how it's going then. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. I know for the board, we've been talking about this for a long time and trying to set the stage for this process because as a multi-age small school, it's challenging, obviously, to meet all the needs of our kids with a limited group. But because of the support and flexibility and creative thinking that everybody's put into that, we're really moving forward in exciting ways. I was able to sit through our 3 through 6 math grouping. Is a similar thing where we're working on geometry because we often miss geometry because it's at the end of often the math curricula that comes up. And so they're working on making sure kids get some geometry based on where they are. And it's just a really nice opportunity for us to make sure that kids are getting the support they need and skills particularly, while being able to practice their leadership skills in social and emotional ways. So that's super exciting. So getting back into the new year, one of the things we know is that reestablishing expectations, norms across our supervisory union, we're all doing this. So at ABS, we use the responsive classroom. So we're reviewing expectations as well as routines and procedures for our kids. Also, we're participating in winter sports, which is exciting. We start next week as well for the same reason. We often found ourselves kind of going into the first week and not having snow and trying to navigate stuff. Ascutney Outdoors continues to give us the opportunity for kids to learn how to ski for free, including we're not paying for rentals of ski equipment, use of the facilities, none of that. They're just outstanding at supporting our schools in this work. We also have locally cross-country skis, snowshoes, the ice rink, which we're super excited about. Our skip just made our skates nice and sharp for the first time in 13 years, so I'm super excited about that one, as well as sledding or fort building, depending on the weather. We also have testing, y'all are doing the testings coming up. So we've got Star and Dibbles coming up. And then our NAEP testing, which is kind of a national version of testing across a specific grade band is coming up. And then looking ahead to Vermont state assessments, just how we're going to bridge the gaps between what kids are supposed to know by the end of the school year and what they get to in March, from the beginning of the year to March, just trying to make sure that we're touching on big ideas so that there's no big gaps. So that's a big part of the work that we're leading into. And then we have our Student Leadership Day on February 6th, which is an early release day. And this is a time when they have asked to focus on STEAM and science projects. So we're looking forward to seeing what they come up with. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For the middle school, we had a weather delay in December for our concert. So our middle school, high school concert is going to be rescheduled for this Wednesday at 7 p.m. So hope you can join us. Our middle school is going to have a drama performance January 16th at 1 p.m. They've been working hard. All of them have been working very hard for these performances. We also are reviewing our behavior expectations for our January goals this week with our students in grade level meetings. We're also going to be looking to recruiting some student leaders who would like to share some of those regular reminders of introductions to what kind of things we want to talk to our incoming students about. So some of our middle school students might be doing some presentations in 5th grade, and we're working with our school counselor, Miss Stanley, and Mr. McPhillips here to start looking at some of our transition dates, to have some of our meetings for students getting ready for 6th grade for the spring. And so that will include our students helping us with behavior expectations and some leadership presentations. We're continuing our monthly celebrations, our students of the month. We'd like to thank our PTO because they support us with gift cards for our students for their celebrations. And we also have an advisory celebration. And that was part of our culture building this year, to give our students also working on attendance those better relationships with their teachers, giving them a lunch celebration to have some time together as a classroom advisory. And so now we're into our December advisory of the month, and they will also choose what they'd like to do for their lunchtime celebration coming up shortly. We also have winter STAR testing happening at the end of this month, early February. Our NAEP testing as well is for 4th and 8th grade in the SU. and looking to work with our interventionists to help us get ready for our VCAP testings that are in the spring in May.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Is the STAR testing before or after the end of the semester?
They are happening kind of close to the last week of January, early February. So it's after the semester change for,
Thanks.
Do you do it on a fall, winter, spring
yes,
schedule?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and these pictures in the bottom, we have some of our celebrations from the holiday feast that the students all did a potluck in the bottom left, and they also did the a door decorating contest, and we had people come to do the judging from the SU office, which was nice. We had a little bit of an impromptu. Students at the last minute wanted to do some caroling for our younger students and went into some classrooms on that last day of school, and our students, 4 students of the month from December in those pictures. Thank you.
As Colleen stated, we have one concert for middle school and high school, so that is moved to Wednesday, January 7th at 7. Our exams are scheduled from the 20th to the 23rd. We did make a change this year. In previous years, we had just had the exams and students were forced to miss a day at Hartford, depending on the exam schedule. With the end of last year, Eric and Scott sent an email to all the sending schools saying, can you see something with your exam schedules? So it disrupts us for weeks. So we've made that adjustment, and everyone will adapt to that. Our science fair is the 23rd. If you can come, please do. It is the best in the city, and that's not a biased opinion. That is a fact. If you see it, you'll be impressed, and then we send the most kids on to the next level, and we get that feedback all the time from surrounding schools. Just a couple pictures. What time is it? The science fair.
11:45, I think.
Yeah, 11.
So like 2?
So about 2. It'll be set up in the morning, even if you can get to the actual project. Just want to walk around and see the projects. Couple of them from conversation. Down at the church, we had Mamma Mia, which was a huge success, and a huge shout out to Sky because Lauren had secured the sleigh before she knew she was leaving, and it was a way bigger undertaking than we would have expected for someone who was just coming in, first year teacher, trying to fit in our school and the kids and everything. It was a 2-hour, I'll look it over to our productions, which typically are paid about an hour, and it was a smashing success. So that was great. Criminology class had Sheriff Palmer come in and speak to them, which if you know Sheriff Palmer, he loves stuff like that, so it was dynamic, and there's an opportunity for questions and answers, which was great. And my third picture is a cooking that took place in Senora Claire's class after one of her units. Not that I didn't have a lot to say this one.
You gotta click again. I don't know, Kate. Yeah. And then again, sorry.
Here you go. Is this what you want?
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. I wanted to share publicly that Miss Gorman, some of you may know her, she taught at Windsor Elementary for, I don't know how many years.
1
but,
year. It was her first year teaching.
1 year?
1 year.
Oh.
It was her first year teaching, and she was very thankful for that start in her
Oh,
career.
I was told it was many years. So, well, this is an even bigger gift then, because she has donated $15,000 to Windsor for upgrades to the staff room. So we just wanted to thank her publicly and acknowledge that is a really generous gift and will be put to good use. It is nice to have a really welcoming staff room for teachers to be able to go and have lunch, gather, and do some community building things. So appreciative. We haven't spent it yet, right, Larry?
And shout out to Larry, who wrote the most perfect personal. I'm so proud of him. Thank you note.
To her, yeah.
It was really nice. Because obviously he knows everyone in Windsor and their history, and he touched on that. It's really nice thinking of.
Yeah, she was a teacher who was just very thankful that she had her start at Windsor, and she just had a really nice connection with students who are now parents and grandparents in our
nice.
school system
Lovely.
and still stays in touch with those students, former students, and just wanted to do this for us.
Where is the staff from?
There's a few
Yep.
in the building, but we're doing it she was a 6th grade teacher, so we're kind of doing it in the middle school, elementary staff room.
Next. I am just keeping you up to date as much as I can on things that are going on in the state, and just wanted to let you know the final report from the Commission on the Future of Public Education was delivered on the due date of December 15th, I believe. And so that is on their website for you to take a look at if you're interested. I briefly perused it and I didn't find too many surprises. I don't know if you've taken a deep dive, Elizabeth, yet or not.
Well, it's not very long.
No.
And having attended all the meetings, it's exactly what one might expect.
Yeah.
It's much shorter than,
It's like 27 pages, right?
yeah, but
But the
half of
yeah,
it
yeah.
is just saying what their charge was
Yeah.
and what they did. The actual recommendations are about 2 pages.
Yeah. Pretty succinct. So just bring that to your attention. Another happening at the state level is proposed graduation requirements. That report was also due. And this has gone to the yeah, thank you, Board of Education for their approval. As we heard, because Kate and I and Bridget were in some presentations this fall, the state was audited by the federal government, and one of the findings was that there was a lack of consistency across the state in the number of credits that were required for graduation. I think we learned anywhere from 16.5 to maybe up to 30 credits. So this is to bring everyone into alignment and have some consistency across the state. I think we'll be in good shape based on the work that we've doing with the program of studies, and it looks like the few changes are we're going to have to require another math credit. We require half a credit, half of health credit that we do a half credit now. I think we're going to be required to have a full health credit in the future. Less electives than we require. We've also created, or Steve Malloy and Kate and their team has a great plan for a capstone, and that we'll be able to continue, I think, under these guidelines. So we'll keep you updated. The Board of Education has to put a stamp on it before it goes forward.
And they also, they also have a public comments on it. Actually, it's under that presentation, but
They will have one going forward.
yeah, because
Yeah.
they're just, at the moment, they are just proposed
Yeah.
requirements, and because it'll be a rule, they'll have public comments, I think sometime in the spring, because, it's like, it's not, they won't go into effect
Till 2027, 28, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any, what's the sense of how this is going to correspond to the work that's been done on proficiency-based graduation requirements? I know that the kind of paradigm of credits has shifted a little bit, so I just wanted to.
Yeah, I think the way that we're set up, we're proficiency-based, and you'll have to meet the proficiency in the system as well. And I think we're aligned well going forward. So, yeah, Bridget, that was the comment she said to me as I was going out the door.
Well, they had given us two
Yeah.
choices that they should have set this workshop. And I think because we did all the work with the state and they had this information in their head, where either option that they chose is just a for us. We're very strongly aligned with both their choices.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Win some, huh?
Once in a while, we win one. The next slide is the last slide in my report is the quarterly report, which Larry's going to deliver since he's here. You have to click on it, Kate, I think, to pull it up. Should be linked.
You know, again, with the caveat I always give, it's kind of early. We're only halfway through the year. So we are a little under revenue, that's to be expected. And I think revenue wise will be right on. What we can control is our spending, and right now, we look to be in good shape. We are under budget as of
Right now.
right now. That could all change in 3 months, but so we are projecting anywhere between $500,000 or so at the end of the year. But again, that could change. So I don't think we're in a better spot than we were last year.
That report is on the website.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
She's showing one
You can,
page of it.
if you click on it, I linked
Well,
it.
because I'm showing one tab and he's
Got it.
switched to another tab.
I see. Sorry about that.
So
So that's where we're at.
this is our beginning fund balance. This is our revenue forecast. These are our expenses forecast. And that's the difference. So you feel good right now, but it's early. And things don't really tighten up until June, July.
That is the conclusion.
Christie, the new education, not education quality standard, graduation requirements are not going through the same rules process as the education quality standards. They are instead, the Secretary of Education requested that the State Board of Education complete their assessment of it and finalize the requirements by the end of this year. Wait a minute. Sorry.
It's okay.
Although the decisions are due 7/1/27, AOE recommends completion date of 12/31/26. So
12/31/26, so we've got some time, yeah. Okay, great, thanks, Elizabeth.
Right. So that wraps up the admin report. All right. Well, thanks to all of you for keeping us up to date in the last month. I got to check out Mamma Mia as well. I was really impressed. I mean, that was a full show, you know, it was the unabridged version of that show, right? And I thought it went great.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
without a break, too.
Oh, okay.
There's an intermission.
Sorry.
I say I would have remembered if I was sitting that long.
So good she didn't want that.
We have one of the stars from the show here in the audience tonight. She had the real cool outfits.
All right, so we are on to number 6 on our agenda, which is items for discussion, followed by motion if needed. And item 6A is budget adoption. So I think I'll turn that over to you and
Yep.
Larry, who's a presentation.
Yep, Kate's gonna present the
There we go.
screen.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Go right to the first slide.
Mhm.
It's all good.
Here we go.
So last time, Larry did the presentation on the budget book, which has been updated. We were, tasked to come back with some, to do some work on a transition plan that eased into the requirements for Act 73. So Kate and I and Colleen and Jennifer, Tracy, we have been meeting with union leadership over the past, well, since we last met, it's pretty extensively, and Kate's gonna go over where we have landed. Yeah, take your computer back.
So Plan A is the maintenance of program that we have now, and then we process minimums. I believe Plan A is essentially what we presented to you
Last time, yeah.
Over here, Larry was kind enough to put in what the impact would have on the budget, and the result would be 1 elementary teaching position at ABS and 3 high school teaching positions would be for
Can I just ask a question about that? Why do you have, a 6.32% increase translating into an 18.7 or 21.7% increase in taxes?
That's due to the Byzantine tax system that, Vermont has. And so if LTW ADM falls, which in Mount case it did, and if the yield doesn't increase to an amount, which it did, and then the CLA is down year over year, which it is, that would account for a budget increase, a tax increase far outstripping the budget increase. So for example, at Heartland, it's a 5.24% tax increase for a 13.1% tax increase. So their budget's up 5%, which is, you know, the typical, well, they usually like rather 3 or 4, but and their tax increases are up 13.1% basically because their LPD is down and the CLA is down.
Larry, will you just say what all those letters mean one more time?
So the CLA is the common level of appraisal. So rather than having some towns never appraise their property, they go 4 years between appraisals. Vermont puts in a governor, lowercase g, to make sure that those towns that don't do appraisals have to pay more in property taxes. In West Windsor's case, we simply did have an appraisal, but we're talking about the difference between year over year. So you had the appraisal last year. So if it was at 143%, for example, and it goes down to 133%, that would increase the tax rate if there were no other changes in the budget, even if the budget was flat. In addition, if you have fewer students, LTWADM wise, if you have 10 more students, but LTWADM stands for long-term weighted average daily membership. If you have 10 more students, but 20 less free and reduced lunch students, your taxes would go up even if there were no other changes, and so on and so forth.
Our Mount Scottney's LTW was reduced by 31, I believe, students this year, and we dug in. It was mostly at the preschool level, as I recall.
It's mostly preschool
Yeah.
and some 4th grade.
Yeah.
Also, it's important to note that the 18.7% increase estimated for West Windsor, and 21% increase estimated for Windsor does not include any income sensitivity, because that's on a per person basis. So there's no way to really estimate for that, because that's a graduated payment based on your income. And then number 2, it doesn't include any of the proposed governor's plan to buy down at the first $75 million into the ed fund from the Vermont General Fund. So that includes none of that. So that yield, if the governor does buy it down, it would lower the tax rate, which would lower the increase. But there is no way to forecast that now. That would not happen until June, July.
And if they do reduce it by the 77 million, which they expect to, it would bring the total down 6%.
So if the statewide average was going to go from 12 to 1 to 12 to 6, then you could do a short academic estimate of going from 21 to maybe 12 or something. I think that would be fair. But again, there's no way for me to model that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plan B would be the maintenance of program and transition staffing to meet class sizes. That would still result in 1 elementary teaching position at ABS, and it would be 2.2 high school teaching positions and 0.4 middle school intervention. The budget numbers are on the side.
The next 2 slides go into what that looks like, staffing wise. Kate, I don't know if you want to.
So this is a comparison of what we put together from our current staffing to what the proposed would be. Do you all have this? Or that you
No, we don't. I was actually gonna ask if we could get a better, any kind of breakdown.
Share, I can share it.
You're gonna share it? No?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, get that.
You should have it now.
So you can see the middle school larger than the students. And then if you flip to the high school, this is what it would look like. At the high school, there's some nuances in our staffing that this can't account for. For instance, one of the members of our staff moved to the IDL position also. What's that again? It's the team leader.
Instructional team leader.
Instructional team leader, ITL. So our current ITL also was the social studies, the social studies teacher, left our social studies department, but he wanted to hang on to part of teaching, so he currently teaches social studies class as well. Would like to teach it, social studies class. And we also, have a certified teacher in the hub who helps with friendship. So those kind of nuances aren't shown on here, but they're important.
Does it mean there's not risk? Staff member?
So
We
in
got your
that,
reports.
So it's moving, they're moving their position in the school, but they're not losing.
I just didn't know that those.
Oh, sorry.
So it's a math teacher who can also teach elementary, is licensed that way. So sometimes teachers get moved around. A couple of the high school math teachers already teach some middle school classes, so it's just hard to capture it all in a document, but that's in essence what would happen. There would be no reduction of a person, but in the high school, it would be a reduction of 0.4 position in the math department.
The positives as we're looking at class size minimums is that affects a cohort, right? Because generally moving in cohort. So when they're moving that way, that also impacts their electives, and that gives also our elective teachers more time to offer more electives for middle school students, which is something that we have been looking at. It was a great start. So this is kind of a comparison of plan A and plan B. I think what got lost at the last meeting is that when you're teaching 5 sections of English 9, and then you only have to teach 3 sections, that does open up possibilities to teach electives. So that concern over missing electives or RVCC, we're lucky to put certifications in Vermont. So, well, there's K6, there's a 712, and there's also like a
5-9.
5-9. So we do, because we are in one building, that does allow us flexibility to share teachers, so they will do middle school intervention, but then teach our RVCC class at night. So it's given a more kind of holistic look at the schedule rather than an elementary junior schedule, the high school. Some things are locked in, the lunches are locked in because of our ability to get kids to Hartford, and that's kind of our starting point that we work around. But this has made us look at it building wide as opposed to in 3 schools and then trying.
Yeah, because of the overlap in licensing, it overlaps from elementary to middle to high school. So there's shared opportunities.
Jennifer?
Yeah, so this is just a breakdown of what ABS looks like with the restructuring. So we would have a primary grade, which is roughly age bands 5 years to 6 years, traditionally called kindergarten. We don't know how many students come in kindergarten. And then primary 2, which would be roughly age groups between ages 6 and 8. Traditionally, those would be grades 1 and 2. We'd have, next year would be 15 students. Both of those groups would be supported by a flex teacher, as well as our special education counselor, a social emotional interventionist, that kind of group. And then we'd have an elementary 1, which is traditionally 3rd and 4th grade, age groups roughly age 8 to 10. And next year we'd have 13 in that group. And then elementary 2 would be our 10 through 12 years old. Traditionally, these are grades 5 through 6. We'll have 20 in that group. So the blue group is basically a group of a flex teacher and a social emotional interventionist. And then the purple group is a different flex teacher and social emotional interventionist. Again, those are part-time flex positions in order to help support making sure all kids are getting the general knowledge and skills that they need. We've been talking as a group about how to make this work, as Jackie already presented earlier. We're working on that right now, trying to figure out how to make it so it's sustainable with our staffing. One of the things that would show up with our current curriculum for this CKLA, our ELA curriculum, English Language Arts curriculum, is the knowledge base, the content base would be a 2-year cycle. So let's say, same thing with like science. So let's say you're learning the water cycle traditionally 3rd grade, you might learn it 3rd grade if you're in the elementary 1 group at the beginning. So you might learn it when you're like 8 or 9, or if you didn't get it in that year, you would learn it the following year. And so it just loops. So we'd have to just scaffold the learning in that way. Another thing we're talking about is the capacity of possibly entering 5-year-olds earlier to give them kind of a jump start onto the process. So that's what it would look like for ABS.
So our plan C would be no changes currently. In staffing, and that is would be a budget increase of 9.3 and
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Um,
And it's in the budget.
Yeah.
It's since the last meeting.
Yeah.
For the motion.
so
Yep,
plan
yeah, for sure.
C would be the maintenance of current staffing, which would be no changes to what we have and what that budget increase would look like and what that.
I have some other questions about the budget before we talk about whether it's big gains. Is that all right? I don't have to do it.
Mhm.
This is just going on the budget book because I don't think we have access to anything besides that, right? So, I don't understand why the budget for mid-management salaries went up from 95,000 2 years ago to 288,000 budgeted for FY27.
Do you want me to compare 25 and 27?
Like, I just don't understand why it has more than doubled in the last.
I can look at my staff and find out the names of those people. I mean, it's almost always, so for example, if somebody goes from Vermont code 5111 is a account code we use for teachers, right? So if somebody, for example, she mentioned earlier that we had a social studies teacher that was ITL. If they go to ITL, they're no longer a teacher. As far as state of Vermont's concerned, because they're not teaching kids their ITL, so that would be maybe a 5171, and that would be that type of good management or something else. If that helps. I mean, that's one example. They wouldn't necessarily have the teacher account code because we have to use the Vermont account code. I can't say, well, he has a certificate in teaching and he's a 5111.
Okay,
But I can find out the names of those actual people and then trace it back.
yeah,
It's
if you could do
325.
that, because I am, I have several such questions.
So, look, can I hop in with
Yep.
question? So I'm assuming looking at the on the workbook, what would go under assessments?
Assessments are SU assessments.
Pardon?
Those are
SU assessments.
Oh, okay. So that's special ed.
You got it.
Yeah, okay,
Transportation, ECP, food service.
okay. The funny name for it.
Yeah, especially when you have to clear up to your staff,
Yeah.
when there's a rumor that it's about testing. I'm like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of testing.
Did you all go through the exercise of trying to reduce the budget without reducing staff? Because I thought that that was one of the things that we were asking for in December.
We really spent our time trying to figure out, staffing with the union leadership. I don't know that there are a ton of other places where we can reduce significantly. I mean, there's supplies. And most of the budget is staffing. So
75%.
Oh, I know, I looked at the,
If you take assessments and assessments plus salaries and benefits, it's 95%.
but, okay, here's my list of questions real quick, right? Why have mid-management salaries gone up from 95,000 2 years ago to 288,000 projected for FY 27? What are the stipends that account for the $140,000, which are not teaching stipends? What are the non-clerical stipends for? What are the other stipends?
Non-clerical stipends would be coaches.
Um, the stipends that are classified as other are?
they range from, student council advisor to, yearbook advisor to team leaders to, trying to think, because we've had to proms. They're all after our activities that staff participate in, and that was a negotiated item in the contract that they get paid for those hours. And they're now attached to a formula, so they increase every year based on the base salary and
Years experience.
an index. You probably can spend it better than I can, but those stipends are for after hour work that staff do for kids and for the school.
And as a note, Larry, unemployment compensation seems to be listed on the price. Oh, so, it's listed as a reduction, but it's actually, it's listed as a reduction, but it's actually, oh, it's a reduction of last year. Never mind.
Yeah, year over year.
Sorry.
So mid-management, we want to compare FY 25.
In FY 25, it was 95,000. Last year it was 100,000, and now it's up to 288,000, an increase of 187%.
You have more questions or?
I do have more questions.
Okay, yep, yeah.
Why does transportation purchase from other sources? Very simple.
So that's usually like, things that are not part of the contract. So that would be like, field trips, other things. It's mostly not, I don't think it's athletics, that situation. But I'm assuming it goes up and down. Yeah, so that was probably based on actual, so I'm guessing it 103 plus 5% or something. I'm looking at, I went from 103 to 123 based on, meeting with the principals and the amount of trips they feel like they're gonna take. So it was down, it went down, but then I based it on the actual, so the actuals always come in a year after we budget. Right, so I'll get the actual for 26 when we're budgeting for 28.
Right.
So we try to, some things like that are kind of a guess.
Can you explain why tuition to vocational schools is in our budget if it's paid by the city?
Yeah, so we have to, we budget for that and then they give us revenue. So if I didn't budget for it, I would only have that. Because then it wouldn't be a wash.
Now I understand that it has to go out for that,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's confusing having it in the budget. And that's it. It's mainly the middle management.
I'm looking that up right now. If there's any other questions, I'll look there. See what was happening with that 525. Then to see what was happening. So.
And there's a new category, relatively new category, it's Vermont. It is, I don't remember, but it's a instructional leader. Instructional coaches. My guess is they got switched to management supervisory salary. So I'd be curious to find if that's the case.
Do we offer, as part of the contract, do we offer, long-term care? Or long-term disability?
I don't know. It's an option.
Mhm.
It's not a mandate. They can choose to get it if they want.
I think that's short term, and I don't think we do short term. I think we do long term. Yeah. I think we have to.
We have to,
I believe, and I'm not an HR expert, but I know that we have people on long-term disability. But we don't offer short-term disability because not enough people agree to buy into it essentially. So we don't offer short-term, we offer long-term.
Right, that's one reason why, I believe we have quite a generous, sick leave.
Yeah.
Policy, and why, that there is a sick bank, because if a teacher runs out of sick days, they can go to the sick bank and get enough to get to the point of
Long-term disability. Yep.
So that's the function of those two expenses.
and, the teaching and professional staff stipend. Yeah, the teaching and professional staff stipend. Is there any way that we can know what that, what the stipends are?
and to be honest, that's just gonna increase. I get more and more stipend plus, area through this year for stipend class, and that goes to a committee of teachers and myself in the spring, that will decide, roughly how many hours this person works out as outside of school. And then there's a formula, that they came up with, but I don't see a reason why I couldn't share the stipend ones.
The stipend list.
Yeah, like the one I get from Terry.
Professionals. They'll have staff names on them. I don't know. I don't know.
That's nothing's off.
Just the names of the club advisors and the stipend amount.
I don't know how much to say.
Are the winter programs paid for through stipends?
The coordinators get paid to do the programming, correct?
No, it's all
Organize?
just, no, that's just a committee of teachers that works.
Okay.
There's no,
In some schools, there is a stipend. They vary across the district. It's been a project of ours to kind of get an alignment across schools about what the stipends are and how much each stipend is valued at, because that was very different depending on your district. So we've been working very hard at trying to get into alignment, and we're not there yet, to be honest with you.
One thing that the
Yeah.
last contract did is it removed the listing of individual stipends. Because within older contracts, it listed out, oh, this technique gets paid this, and this technique gets paid this. And so by removing that and creating a formula, it gave administrators more control of, and staff more control of what stipends were necessary, and the formula decides what they get paid based upon an estimate of administrative hours. So,
And the difficulty, right?
in the difficulty. So it's gonna be a long-term process to kind of, not super long, but to balance that out.
Long-term disability over there on that page. There.
I get it.
But I think not having one of the goals in revamping the stipend was to move away from a very rigid
don't worry about it.
list of what the stipends were.
They change depending on the needs.
And yeah,
And, there was a lot of discussion about the value of our staff members' time after they worked all day. And, it's additional work for them. I mean, they deserve to be compensated for that work. So. And it's a lot of work, I'd add. A lot more than, they work a lot more for the stipend that they should get paid more, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for the work that they do with each stipend. But we've tried to streamline it across the SU and make it really fair as we can. So.
So when you talk about, the talk about the Windsor High staff, and when you talk about having worked with the
Union leadership.
leadership. I'm assuming that means that you were talking about who gets cut. And I wonder what that was based on.
Whenever you have a reduction in force, it's based on the seniority of the staff member in their content area and their certification.
Why?
that's in the
That's in the
contract.
contract.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in the contract.
That's standard in education.
Seniority.
Yep.
Can we know how many classes will, like, when you say a 0.4 reduction or a 0.6 reduction, in social studies, is that two classes in social studies?
So that means currently that teacher teaches two classes, but now if you balance off that, like the freshman teacher, maybe we run 5, 6 classes, right? Now we're only gonna run 3 next year, so that'll open up some other persons to teach those.
Okay. So it doesn't matter whether the class is well prescribed.
No, it does. We choose our electives on, like when we had to close down, like section, change admissions exam, section of sci-fi, so we have 4 kids interested in it. So the electives get chosen during the class process of what classes. So if a class is well receiving a bunch of kids sign up for it, then we'll run that class.
So
Okay.
kind of along those lines, so I think looking at, we got a comprehensive explanation of what Plan A looks like last time, and that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this completely. So that would put us at a reduction of force of 4 total positions.
Correct.
Is the first one. Second one, and I guess just because there's percentage points here, I want to make sure I'm understanding what that looks like. So that is
3.6.
You say it again.
3.6.
3.6. Okay.
A nuance that helps you wrap your brain around this is in the high school, you can't work 0.5 because of the 2 classes. So the 0.5 classes can be in the day, so you can't teach you. So we can't have a 0.5 high school teacher, we have a 0.6 high school teacher or a 0.4 high school teacher. And that comes into play when doing
That was that negotiation piece. I wanted to die on my sword.
We come back to it.
Yeah. So in Plan B, what is the staffing reduction looking like?
If you go to,
Slide 5. Go to slide 5, Kate. You can see
Yeah, I
it.
just want to make sure I'm fully understanding that.
Yep.
just be the high school, and then I'm sure that's what you're asking about.
That's, yeah, go to high school.
Yeah.
That's middle.
Sorry, I have a stupid bar on mine,
Sorry.
so when I look at mine, it looks like it's in the way, and then I try and move it, but it's not up there.
Okay. So with the exception of the 0.4 under math
Yep.
and the 0.4 under social studies, the 0.6s are all RIFs essentially. Is that? I mean, it's just the terminology is different across those, so I want to make sure I'm fully understanding.
It's 0.6 in science
Yes.
reduction. It's a 0.6 in English reduction, but that 0.6 reduction goes to middle school intervention.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
And then in social studies, it's a 0.4 reduction. And then there is you can see under social studies, currently there's a combined position of some social studies and some intervention.
Okay.
So
So-
for full transparency, I accidentally worked the position last year, and I worked closely with the union, everybody knows that. But none of us saw it at the time because we were trying to do the right thing. So if someone moves to the ITL, that opens up a social studies position, in which case the social studies department came to me and said, hey, we don't actually need all this because he's still gonna teach some classes, blah, blah, blah. He's gonna throw out a position, right? So we thought, like, oh, how can we do this? We could do for social studies and then use for intervention. So I guess last year I should have been called to the carpet for a RIF for us part of the social studies position last year. But, you know, I was working with the union, how can we make this work? And it was found up being a positive, so nobody caught it. So my apologies. That's also not helping.
Does the people, does everyone in red, does that mean a person goes? Or
So in science, it means that a person's position is reduced to 0.4 and then it is a full-time job. In English, it means that 0.6, they're going to stay 0.4 in high school and teach RBC classes in ASL. And then they're going to 0.6 in the middle school.
Intervention.
And in the social time, that means that the 0.4 reduction in the social studies position and then the 0.6 reduction in the interventionist job.
So one of, I guess, okay. Last board meeting, one thing that I found frustrating in the presentation of the budget was that the main focus was on meeting the class size requirements. And that really was the main focus of what the administration presented. In closing, the important part of the budget concern was kind of that buried the lead in my perspective. I mean, that really was the more important point, not of maintaining a reasonable budget in which we can go over the cap. And whether or not cutting positions because of a lowering in numbers and student numbers and subsequently creating, I don't want to say overstaffing, but more electives than really what the size of the high school can support. And so, I think we need to look at as a board is whether or not the budget needs to be reduced and because of budget constraints, and whether or not one way to do it is by, well, the only way to do it is to do by cutting staff, and that the administration believes that they can maintain a level of structure and still cut staff. And I understand the fact that there will probably be, regardless of plan A, B, or C, there will be fewer high school electives available. That's a reality of running a high school. You know, the simple fact that if your high school doesn't have 700 students, you have to fit the opportunities within a budget that the voters can afford. So that's a perspective, and I guess what I want to know from administration is if that is the case, and if the staffing that is remaining is going to be able to provide a level of services that our students need, regardless of plan A, B, or C. That was a question.
So, yeah, I think,
Really, I think, I mean, I don't want to cut it over. Like, who does, right? Nobody wants to do that. But can we, prior to Act 33 and prior to budget conversations in the first week of September, did Christine come to me and say what they're doing with the December for learning process. And I'm not talking about RBCC, we're running standard classes for 6. But as we're closing
2.
sections, we're looking for things for.
Yeah, we,
So can we, yes, the short answer is yes, it's terrible as that, so yes, we can do it. And it also opens up the opportunity to offer more to the middle school. So it does have a, okay, and if I could have argued for, you know, like I said, we accidentally had that reconciliation, no discussion last year, we just added intervention. Pulled it up as a positive.
Yeah.
But our intervention numbers weren't high enough to justify that when we have a staff that has to be intervention and this something easy. And yes.
Yes. When you looked through all of this, did you also take into account the proposed graduation requirements?
Yeah, ours are very closely aligned. Right now, but yes, we had known that was coming in, we had looked at it. And we are in, you know, probably between our last board meeting and this board, we had, I know, been conference 8 times, and if anyone works in the school, to be able to do that to Thanksgiving and Christmas is hard. And those conversations are going to continue. You know, sometimes I'll just get it on the weekend that says, do not answer now, but let's think about this.
Meg, you had a question earlier?
It was really what you were asking, like kind of breaking down what, like, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding this probably as well as I should be, but of what we're actually losing for positions, because I've heard you say that combining positions. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what is actually happening. So in Plan B, is it actually physically 4 positions, 4 people are being
It's 3.6. So
in Plan A or B? I guess.
in Plan B.
Okay.
So Kate described that the science position would be reduced to a 0.4. So that position would be, would not be, might be a part-time position, but not a full-time position. Yeah, a total of 2.6. I mean, I'm sorry, 3.6 positions, 3.6 actual people.
Okay, that's what I,
so,
sorry,
Yeah.
I did between a position and a person.
Yeah.
I
And
think I
it's-
was just having a struggle
It's
with.
very complicated
Yeah.
because people get shuffled around depending on,
Mhm.
yeah,
So, and that's with, for the whole supervisory union?
that is for Mount Escutney School District.
I'm sorry, for the Scotty district?
Yes.
Mhm. So, and how many, what does that mean for Albert Bridge as well?
It means one elementary teacher at Albert Bridge.
One position.
I'm sorry, one position.
So the actual person is a window.
so,
All right. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, sir.
so,
So Albert Bridge will lose a position, but that person has seniority in the
In the union, right?
in the union. So Windsor will physically lose the first, that person will lose their job, and the Albert Bridge person will still have the job. Okay.
This is so tricky.
so,
The other,
Very
sorry,
tricky.
yeah, let me get off. But the other thing I want you to think about is if we say like, okay, we're gonna reduce this science to 0.4, right? And then you come back and say, well, we want to attract people, if we need to get a 1.0. I can't put intervention back in because I just ripped it over right here, right? So you lose that with how it works.
So if somebody has part teaching and part intervention, interventionists are really key positions in our building. So if we wanted to make a full-time teaching position and we lost interventionists, that would be very hard.
We'd have to work with the union.
which we do
Which we
well.
do very well.
Yeah.
So at this point, though, there are some unfilled positions. Is that correct? You're down a
We
math
have a math,
teacher.
unfilled math position, yes, we do. Yeah.
And so with that, not filling that, would that count as one of those positions?
No, because we need that math position to make the schedule work.
That's not one of the positions.
Yeah.
So
So we also have like, one of our employees, just recently left, so that's the planning room, which isn't a teacher position, but I'm not filling that, now because, could we do something? I'm just not filling it now, right? Could that either be a budget cut that could help us? If you, because we don't know what one you're gonna pick, then we don't know what the voters are gonna do, right? So there's a lot of variables here, but I'm trying to do small things like that with, I think we can manage the rest of this year without this. Leave it out there.
Outside of that, we don't know if there's going to be a buy down for the governor, and we also don't know, and I think this is probably less likely, but we don't know if the spending threshold is going to be raised.
Right.
So there's a lot of
Yes, and by the way, in all the, good point, in all the, scenarios, we're over the excess spending threshold, when spending school district for the first time.
In all of this.
In all the
every single
scenarios.
scenario.
Every scenario. Just FYI.
Wait. We are,
Yes,
Yes,
but it was, the threshold was
raised.
118%.
we're over in all our districts this year.
But it was 118%. These are still, this is still 6 whatever percent.
Well, again, it goes by LTW ADM and all those other factors, right? So the denominator is the LTW ADM. So if you lost 40 students in LTW ADM, that changes the denominator. Right, so even if you spent the same, it would still change the tax rate. It's total budget spend divided by the number of students, right? And if there's fewer students, even if the budget were the same,
Yeah,
so it's not really 6%. It is, but not per student.
Yeah.
Right.
And we lost what,
Yeah,
31, you
right.
said?
31.
At least 31.
At least 31.
And again, actual students.
Yeah.
Thank you, Larry, for.
Yeah.
explaining. I really do.
which,
Mhm.
We're lucky.
Yes.
in a school district of our size,
Yes.
is pretty significant.
It's one classroom.
To lose 31 kids, yeah.
Well, it's 1.5 now.
One and a half classrooms.
Yeah.
And so basically we've lost the funding from the state for 1.5 positions. Which is why we're in this, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
and so, I feel chagrined because maybe I should have fallen on my sword. Because it comes down to high school scheduling. And so, because each high school teacher can take has 2 off periods. They create to schedule a nightmare. It's one, which is why you can't have part-time high school teachers. My biggest objection to it is just equity across the district. My, personal feelings of my biases as, the hardest working teacher, elementary teachers, my biases. That's what I was for so many years.
It's different work. It's different
You can
work.
say that,
That's what we say.
but I'm not an administrator. I can say,
So I've gone back through into the, wage and benefit spreadsheet that feeds into the pivot tables, that feeds into the budget book. And that 5151, there's only one employee that's 5151. And, so that's an error. I can't get it to recreate on the budget book by saving the new version after I updated it. So here is the raw numbers. And so thank you, Elizabeth, for spotting that. It's $180,000 difference. for mid-management, when there's only one employee, we know that there's not one employee that makes that much money, for that one difference. Plan A would be 16.5. Plan, and I put up FY 26 so you can compare and contrast and make sure my percentages are right. But you'll see that, it would be a 5.15% increase instead of a 6.32
In the budget.
which would be a West Windsor tax rate increase of everything as we know today of 15.8 and a Windsor tax increase of 18.8. And Plan B would be 5.9% increase, and it'll be very similar to what you already saw earlier at 6.32, not much changes, 17.5% and 20.8. And Plan C, which would be no staffing changes, an 8% budget increase would account to a 23% tax increase for West Windsor residents and a 26.3% tax increase for Windsor residents.
It's a little better.
It's a little better.
Yeah, a little better.
Does any of it change coverage? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I got the lowest one in the threshold, and we are still $417 per LTWM over the threshold with the lowest amount. But
Say that again.
we are $417 per LTWADM over the threshold. So the threshold is 16,470 per LTWADM, and we are at 17,003. Just to give you an example, if I put 920 students in there, we are under the threshold. So if I put the students back in that we had last year, we're under the threshold. So I could share this screen right here. This helps you. So if you look here, this is the tax rate calculated from the state. And this is the total expenses. This is offsetting revenue projections for basically the high school tuition. Basically the only, luckily that you're the only district with a high school, which raises money to offset that. This is the LTWAM number from the state we get. Your LTWAM last year was 924. So right now you see that 417 right there, that $417. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. If I take that $417 and I make this 924, changing the bottom of the fraction, you're under the threshold. So your tax rate would go up 11% in Windsor, as opposed to 18. So 7% of the tax increase is because your LTWM is falling.
So,
Just as an aside, Larry, I love that you use pivot tables.
So it's easy to spot the error that way.
I love a good pivot table. So how many risks were included in the
First proposed.
first proposal?
I'm not.
Four.
Four.
Yeah.
So
it's not just more risks, it's
Four.
four
Yeah, yeah,
positions.
4 positions.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it, and just maybe I'm misremembering, was it not 5 positions, but one is unfilled? So that sort of.
Well, when we dug in, it was not. We thought that it
Okay.
was, but it wasn't.
Okay.
It was a middle school position. Yes, we thought it was unfilled, but we were incorrect. So yeah, it's 4. It was. We presented 5, but it was really 4.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask the same question again, because we're back to the positions and the people. So plan A, as you said, it's 4 positions, but it's 4, okay.
It's 4.
Just making sure
It's
I'm
4
clear.
positions that you're reducing, and in that scenario, I believe it's 4 people that are attached to those positions. In scenario B, it's 3.6 positions. 3.6 positions and 3.6 people attached to those positions.
So it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, excuse my hearing. And the next natural block of hearing clearly administrators, but I just think I'm just getting old. And I took off my hearing aids, put them in the charger when I got home. So, oh, thank God.
Like they heard you.
my priority as a board member, and I believe I heard this important from administrators as well, but my priority is classroom teachers, and intervention. I mean, those
Mhm.
are equal. It's really important to have, to continue with the intervention work that's been happening. Okay, watching that slight but really impressive increase in math scores.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't want to stifle that in any way. Okay, and those increases come from classroom teachers and interventionists. Okay, and I like all of that. The plans, there isn't a whole lot of cuts in the early grades. Um, so I'm hoping that as a board that we have focused over the last decade in increasing the level of quality and quantity of administration. Okay, and that is my next priority. Any school district, and especially the Windsor schools, have been historically under administrated. Okay, there are perennial behavior, attendance, instructional overview needs that have not been met over the last 20 years. For those of us who have been tied into the Windsor schools historically. So that's important to me. Now, I don't know if there are any other positions that are not as student facing that we could consider cutting.
In the school building?
Hmm?
In the school building?
Yes. I'll be straight out. I'm not a big proponent of instructional coaches. I know in some buildings, I'm not talking about this school district, but I'm talking about other school districts that I deal with. Instructional coaches become like an assistant principal. And I think that in a time in which we have to cut positions that are student facing, and that may impact intervention needs, I think that may be an area that we could look at. That's just my opinion. Other than that, I want to thank Larry for answering that one question. I'm looking at Plan A as probably what I'm moving towards, just because of the financial responsible way to go. And if the administration doesn't think that, I'm chagrined, but I'm willing to cut down on the number of electives offered at high school, as long as the elementary and middle school class sizes don't get out of control, and intervention in elementary and middle schools are not impacted. And that's really where my priorities lay. And as long as high school students are getting what they need to pass the high school requirements, I think it's a reality of trying to maintain a high school of under 300.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I understand I'm not on the board, but I was curious if I could speak on this one.
Sure. If you just can say your name and what time it is.
Yeah, my name is Isabella Ciccarelli. I live in West Windsor. Good evening, board members. Good evening, board members. I am a junior at Windsor High School, and I am here talking on behalf of myself and on behalf of my fellow classmates at Windsor High School. We are here concerning the removal of one of Windsor High School's valued educators and the impact a cut in educational classes would have on students. We understand that if this budget passes, it will cut a vital position, which is currently held by Theo Abbott. The kids at the school refer to him as Mr. T and Theo. And if you weren't aware of what he teaches psychology and criminology, and he also takes our middle school class. We truly value Mr. T's presence. He's a supporter of all students, and he not only teaches students well, but he challenges us to be the best that we can. I know countless students who look forward to his class every day and have for the past 2 years. This is not only true for high school students, as he does have an impact on the middle school. Included here are the accounts of high school and middle school students who find Mr. T to be an incredible educator at Windsor High School. Theo has a middle school study class. I have had his class all year on Wednesdays and Fridays. In this class, he has been quite a help. It has been a time for me to get work done, take a brain break, and even do some fun work. He has brought in the chief of police who talked to us about what he has done for our country. He has helped me plan and learn about high school and who I want to be. Theo has impacted me and many of my fellow classmates. I want Theo to stay because in Theo's study hall, I am able to get more work done in this class than any others. He makes an amazing work environment and has supported me in applying for National Juniors Honor Society. He's extremely helpful, and I look forward to his class each week. Mr. T's class is one of the reasons I stay at school until the end of the day. I not only look forward to his class, but I know that I will be learning something valuable and memorable. Mr. T puts in effort into his classwork, making it accessible to all involved, and is a very encouraging teacher. At Windsor High School, Theo leads the National Honor Society, and I'm currently applying to enter. He has been incredibly helpful during this process. He has been very clear about instructions and helpful when we had to adjust due to change rules, number of students, etc. Without Theo leading this process, I would have experienced a lot more anxiety. However, I was able to ask Theo questions without fear of being treated like I had asked a dumb question or wasn't worth being in the NHS. We believe that if these cuts are made at our school, it would affect our grades and education. Firing teachers at the school gives less options for students to meet the requirements to graduate and takes away from the freedom of choosing classes that we want to take. Removing valued teachers will have an impact on our education since more academic classes will not be offered anymore. Students are hoping for new learning opportunities and better classes for the 2026-2027 school year. Therefore, letting off multiple teachers would affect more life out of school classes like psychology, ethnic studies, RVCC, and college composition. Being able to offer classes here at Windsor that connect with future jobs students are interested in will help them not only succeed, but will hopefully better prepare them for college. Passing the budget will only make our schools suffer more. As these students clearly stated, Mr. T is a valued member of Windsor High School. He is present for students, a very helpful teacher, and an incredible support for both struggling students and those who are going through school without a problem. There isn't a single person that would benefit from his absence. Not only is this about keeping one of the teachers who make students want to come to school, this is about keeping open opportunities for kids. Although this decision is not made based on character, I think there is something to say about the positive impact he made. We really hope that you will take this into consideration before you make your vote.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
I'm Mr. GM Theo, Amen, I teach at Missouri High School. I just want to say two good things. One, I didn't ask either of these students to come here tonight and speak on my behalf. They took this on their own. And I appreciate your very kind words. And I also wanted to thank Colleen, Christine, and Kate. I'm one in the position of this. For being there. I've so very much enjoyed my time at Windsor. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Both of these administrators have helped me grow as an educator and as a person. And I just wanted to thank them for the opportunity you've given me to grow and become a member of the family of Windsor, because it's like a family. So thank you. No matter whatever decision you make, I leave Windsor a better educator and a better person. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. I have to say, as a teacher who was ripped at one point, I worked at Concord for 16 years, and they had a position, and that position happened to be mine. Being the last full-time teacher hired, I almost made it 20 years there, and it's not easy. And I understand.
Is there any more questions for our administrators before we move on to motions? Or any more? Yes.
I am Jesse Burrows from Brownsville, Vermont, and I also take Theo's class, and I'm also here to speak on his behalf. I would like to preface this by saying it seems that the supervisory union at this particular day and age is running on fumes. I think that we can all agree on it. And this is not anybody in this room's fault. I don't believe that gutting the social studies department would help anything or anybody, regardless of the money it may say. Theo's class is beloved by many and taken by many. It is one of the largest in terms of raw numbers. And I think Izzy sort of covered everything that I wanted to say, but I would like to make that opinion known that I'm speaking on behalf of my fellow students, what little influence I have.
Thank you. Any other questions or general comments to the board before we move on to motions here?
That's the only question is for the administrators, if there's a plan here that you favor for a reason, like if there's what your thoughts are on which one.
I can start. I think, we came last time and we were working to be in compliance because that's what we were supposed to do. And we did that. And I appreciated the board's directive of let's transition this a little bit slower. That was good to hear. I felt it was my responsibility to bring budget in compliance, but it's your job to approve the budget and bring it to the voters. So it was nice to have a little bit of leeway. And I think it felt better going back to the union and talking through scenarios and slowing it down a little bit. So I think my support would be around Plan B, which slows it down a little bit. It's still a reduction in force. And I appreciate the students coming and I appreciate Theo being here. It makes me teary as well. But I think Kate shared when we were looking at the numbers this fall, this is not sustainable. It's not fiscally responsible. It's not necessarily good for our kids to be in classes of 2 or 4. And so the reality is we would have brought you a budget that reduced staff even without the requirement of Act 73. Maybe not as significant, but we definitely would have done that because we have to. And I think to the point of electives, when you get into it and you dig deep, when you have larger class sizes, it is going to open up space for those electives. That was a very important consideration. We don't want kids losing. We want to offer RVCC courses. We want to offer electives. And we believe we'll be able to do that with the staffing proposed in that plan. So that's just mine. Kate,
I,
comment, and Tracy can weigh in.
also strongly support B and my reasoning against the science department. You know, I have learned that it's the best in the state, and I believe that. And I understand the concerns about the so like the one I said to be a million times. I'm trying to figure out a way. Like it's part of the reason I didn't fill the planning room, right? Because with that, thinking it was like, and we're trying to figure something out. But the social studies department is and has been overstaffed. That's the bottom line. So 2 full-time teachers. We have the ITL who's certified in social studies, and we also have another teacher who's probably in social studies who's also certified in social studies. Where I felt like we were getting was the science department to knock it down to 2 teachers and to take one of their classes away and give it to the math department because it's physics and expect them to still have the morale, you know, the leader and me and all that they do. Cut that down to is it feasible on paper? Yes. Would it be a whole lot better with that 0.4 back in there? Yes. Will we be able to fill it? I'm not sure. We lost a 0.4 job at me or someone out there. And the other thing that this is going to see with eyes wide open is the possibilities of what this is going to bring to middle school in terms of opportunity for elective, and you know, with the ability of teachers having licenses 7 to 12 or 5 to 9, and people teach 7, 8, and 9th grade. You know, there was all these concerns about science, and my reason for B is strongly centered on our science program.
I think that we're fortunate that Act 173 and our need for positioning and our priority for intervention is represented in all A, B, and C budgets. It's that makes it easier for me, but I know how much work Kate, Colleen, and Kristen have put into all the different options, and you know, we agree that it's easier. It's very hard when you're talking about people versus positions, and that's why we try to stay within that language, because we know as we're talking through this, we're talking about people, and that's what we don't want. But I think, you know, I know Kate feels strongly about B, and I support that with having witnessed all the work that they have done with scheduling to go through. And I really appreciate the collaboration it brings to middle school and high school. And I think that's going to provide some opportunities that we haven't seen.
I also support B. I think it's been said, nobody wants to cut any positions. And our contract goes by seniority. And for the middle school, I think one of the things that I look at is when you see the class size requirements that we've been asked to follow, the middle school, in my opinion, all the years I've been there, has always been high above those minimums. And I worry about pushing those higher numbers to like what the maximum is and having too big of a classes. I still have 6 full-time teachers. I have 6 sections, and that we are able to fill that. I would be lying if I didn't say I would love to have more interventionists all the time. but this is the most fiscally responsible decision, and I still have the support that I have the need for my students. But there was a few years ago where we had a 7-person team because we had a bubble. And that will happen again in the future. And we will come back and ask when that happens. But that's what I'm thinking about is, yep, we're talking about these minimum requirements, but what happens when they get really high?
I will say, and just as a complete aside, it is ridiculous to have the minimum be 7 students away from the maximum. It's the minimum is now at 15, and the maximum is 22. And you have to somehow, like, based on something that's completely out of your control,
Right.
Which is people having babies or moving to our state. It's
I mean, I do appreciate a lot of the things that people have recognized that are out of our control. That, you know, especially Bill recognizing, you know, the contract that like I follow the contract that presented to me. And the health insurance and the maximum, there's some things that are out of our control.
Jennifer.
So in my 13 years, we've always ebbed and flowed. The state has determined that they have a class size minimum, and we've created something that meets that goal. I think I'm ever the optimist. We can find value in moving forward with predictability and thinking about keeping the multi-age approach that we've been working towards. This is perhaps an opportunity for us to really hone in on that flexible approach that we've been talking about for years. I feel like I've got the staff ready to rock and roll on that. You know, we're a small state. We're a small state, and so small numbers are the standard. So to have a multi-age class of 20 kids is, in most of the world, pretty common. There are some structural things that make it challenging, but I think we've got with Christine and Bridget working with us to help support a multi-age approach with the curricula that we got. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, and I think there's opportunity here. So, you know, we did the best we can with what we got, and I think the funding structure is not something we have control over. I think it is way more complicated, cumbersome, and ineffective, but it's not what we control. What we do control is what we're presenting. And I think, you know, either A or B, we both, right, we're cutting a position at Albert Bridge School. It's going to be what it's going to be, and we'll make the best of it.
Thank you.
I think that your question. And then I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll throw out, I mentioned this earlier, but just reiterating that the fact that any of these plans is going to see us go over what is, I mean, nominally an excess spending threshold, but it's a spending threshold. And it feels kind of arbitrary, and I think I would imagine we all share the frustration that it kind of feels like we're being punished for meeting operating costs when we know that the drivers for those are healthcare, are inflation, are this giant raft of things that we cannot do anything about in this room. It's pretty infuriating, right? Because that impacts these numbers that we see, and it makes it all the more difficult to make the case for any of these, which is just an absurd situation to be in.
So to put a fine point on it, if you decided to go with option B, your tax rate would go from, if LTW was steady, the excess spending thresholds, your taxes, for an example, in winter would go from 12% to 12%. So to put it another way, 8% is the excess spending threshold penalty.
Yeah.
Well, 8% of the 20%.
Like what was that? I'm sorry.
Meaning, if the excess spending threshold didn't exist,
Okay,
Windsor taxes would go up 12% instead of 20%.
okay.
So there's a
West
penalty.
Windsor would go up, instead of going at 17%, would go up roughly 9%. If the excess spending threshold did not exist.
You get penalized.
Because we're over this.
Any,
And how much would we have to cut to get under? Like, way more than.
you would have to, yeah, you would have to.
And Larry, I know you're gonna give us the exact number, but I would assume that it would be cutting so much that we would really materially impact our ability to deliver the services, and
You would have to cut an additional 500,000 over what you've already cut in option.
And when I hear Bill asking about non-facing student positions, I feel like there's not many of those either.
It really isn't. But not many is not zero. So I would prefer to cut those positions than cut an interventionist any day of the week.
So the intervention position, no, it is at the middle level. It's a, yeah, thanks, Izzy. Thank you. It's a 0.4 reduction in middle level intervention and a 0.6 reduction in high school intervention combined.
But if the intervention in high school gets funky, right? Because
Right.
we need nothing. So right now, an intervention that we have at the high school, I believe it's not really to call it intervention really, isn't it? What I think it's about
It
7
usually
kids.
isn't called.
Right.
Really 7 kids total over a 2 to 3 periods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that, so again, that came from last year and moving into the teacher, the idea of not wanting to get rid of the social, trying to save the social studies position.
Right.
That's where that came from. And then the intervention at the
Middle school.
middle school, the reduction is not as you be able to keep the ASL and RBC class at high school.
So it's a sharing of a person
Mm-hmm.
in high school and middle school, which drives the intervention down 2 periods at the high school, at the middle school level.
And by doing that, you said you're able to keep ASL
Yes.
or RCC from back to sleep.
And is that an A or B?
It's a both.
It's in both.
The big difference to me between the A and B is to be able to keep to advertise a 0.4 science.
well, I guess before we get to motions, is there any just general commentary on option C? I mean,
The only good thing about option C is if we put it out there and gets voted down, then we have a.
True.
Yeah.
But that would be unfair and not a good one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think that's where the challenge comes in, right? I think it's pretty readily apparent, having heard from all of you and having these discussions, like the value of every one of our staff is very well recognized and understood pretty deeply. Looking at the numbers that go along with it, the possibility of getting that budget to be approved by voters when we have other options that do not come with the same tax increases, particularly right now, when it's been such a year-over-year problem. We are facing statewide cost increases. It's it's hard to. I'll be totally honest. Looking at those numbers, it's really hard for me to imagine taxpayers approving options locally.
I mean, it'd be hard to imagine with an A or a B. But
And
Windsor
that's-
and West Windsor have been very supportive of education budgets over the years. I remember '04, one went down in Windsor. West Windsor came really close before the merger. It was like a voice vote, hand vote, and I've never seen that before. That meeting.
Oh, no,
Usually,
yeah, no, we always had 10 votes.
I mean, sorry,
Oh,
they had to count, remember the time they had to count it.
Yeah.
They, because it was so close, which I'd never seen before. So yeah, I mean, you
That's
were,
in part because it used to, increase and decrease by the same amount. It would go up, say 15 or 30, like 33% was the last increase before the merger vote.
Mhm.
And then it would go down the same, to the same degree. So it'd be, it would have the same fluctuation up and then the same and back down. Every year it flip flopped, and it was partly because of special education. Because we didn't have the population to absorb the cost.
Mm.
A lot of times the group were all around a single student, or,
Then it would be like,
or 2 or 3 students would move in, and then they would then move out. That-
and it was the tuitions,
Yeah.
which I think our,
It was
our
huge.
neighboring districts are feeling now. Is the
Yeah.
everything, not one of bit of it in control.
Yeah.
So Larry, when, did the change bring us under the threshold? No.
the change you found in the business situation?
Yeah.
No. So even if you went with option A, you would still be over the threshold by a smaller amount. You would have to cut, you weren't here, you'd have to cut $500,000 on top of option B, get under the threshold. In addition,
So we are paying an extra $500,000.
no, it doesn't work like that. You're paying an extra $470 per LTW ADM.
That was $1 for every dollar you're over.
It is. So they take that so right here, I'm just using for the sake of math, option B, because I've heard 3 board members say option B. You are currently $554 over that. So this is what your this is what you're spending now with that new number, $17,000-ish per student. The excess spending threshold is $16,470. The difference between that and the 17,000-ish is $554.
Right.
Then they tack that on. So that's where the double taxation comes in. They take that 554 and they add it to this. And now you're at 17,578. So it's a penalty.
Oh,
And that's where the tax rate comes from.
Right.
After the yield
okay.
and after, some discounts from Act 84, which are minor. But basically, that's the double taxing is if the threshold didn't exist, you would pay that, not that.
Is there a discussion,
And that amounts to roughly $500,000.
is there discussion of changing the threshold?
Yes, that's on the agenda.
But we go to print in a couple weeks, in a week or two.
Yeah, we don't, within our timeline that we are legally required to follow, we don't have the luxury of waiting to see if Montpelier is willing or able, well, we never able, but willing to increase the level.
Or whatever buy down happens in the yield. There's no way of knowing. By the time we print and go to town meeting, whatever you decide tonight, plan A, B, or C, that'll be in the budget book. I'll make sure that error is rectified in the budget book before it goes to print. So everything will reflect the amount chosen. I've already got a ticket to get company that.
I think it's just one more time, just for my notes, and this is the first time. If the buy down, did I hear that's 77? Was the
public amount was 75 million. That was an impression.
And did you say a kind of rough projection of what that
The
was?
statewide projected average from the tax commissioner's letter was 12%. If the buy down occurred, it would be statewide average would go down to 6%. What that would do to us, I can't really estimate. You could do some back of the envelope math, and if the statewide average goes down by half and Winter's 20% goes by half, it would be roughly 10%.
10%.
And if West Winter 70% went down by half, it would be roughly 8.5%, 9%. But I would not like to be careful saying that. It would affect the tax rate.
Yeah.
To the good.
Then you also
By
have,
a large amount, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
A significant amount.
Sure. And then having the threshold, if the threshold were to be raised too, I think that would do the same
That would
thing.
help.
It would do a
A
commensurate,
similar type of thing.
a similar amount to what
Yes.
you're talking about. I know that.
If they did both.
Well, that's what I'm,
yeah, but then you also have, the Senate pro tem saying that he wants to cap all spending
Mhm.
for the
2 years.
entire state.
Yeah.
So,
I can't,
It's-
when I
yeah.
go to print, I can put a bunch of caveats on the top of the page. Say, contact your legislature, or I don't know, like, these are estimates only. I always put the caveat that this does not include the income sensitivity. It does not include, whatever happens to the final year, which is set in June. So
There's a lot of caveats.
there's a lot of caveats, but everybody, as you know, goes to the budget book and they flip to the table where it shows if you have a $250,000 house,
yeah.
what would
Check
this
right.
mean for your tax?
well, and I appreciate in your last presentation, and I think, and I believe this in the budget book too, just showing that line graph of healthcare costs increasing. I think that's.
I added that this year.
Yeah, well, and it really needs to be salient to folks because it's,
It's jarring.
it's incredibly jarring and I hear the concerns about sustainability locally, but I think at a state level, like what does sustainability look like if that is not somehow brought to heel, right? Because how often are we having these conversations about like, we're being asked to reduce staff and we cut local budgets when like what the cost of it, it's not us. So yeah, it's some got to give there. We can't do anything about it here, so I'm not going to dwell on it any longer. But it is a genuine concern when that cost is continuing to be passed along to outside taxpayers.
It's, yeah. Yeah. And up in Norwich this year, they are facing a more than 50% increase in their taxes.
Yeah,
And with level spending, and they are 50% increase.
there's only so many times that the state, and I'll just say leadership in Montpelier, whether that's in the House and Senate or the governor's office, can continue saying like, well, like local business trying to be fiscally responsible. It's like we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. That line only works so long when you're watching healthcare go like this year over year, and that just hits us like a ton of bricks every single budget season.
Yeah, if we had to say what New Hampshire paid, we'd be golden. I mean, we pay $15.50 a month in healthcare benefits, and in New Hampshire they pay $4.50 a month.
Wow. It's absurd.
It's a huge, and we are by far the most expensive healthcare in the country, which is the most expensive in the world.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
there's
but we also, that's the starter.
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. Again, there's nothing we can do about that here, but I just think it's a reality as we, continue budget every year. And if nothing happens with that, we're going to continue feeling pressure to do things that at a certain point.
So, yeah, to move things forward,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the budget at $16,624,852 of Plan B.
All right. I'll second that motion. So discussion of Plan B as a proposed budget.
Don't like it. doesn't feel good, but um, that's my discussion. But if the administrators support it, so will I.
And there might be people who resign. You know, people who retire. So it may not have to come through as a thing that we know today.
I am disappointed that you didn't take a closer look at things besides staff that could be cut. I just want to register that. I'm really disappointed because that is what we asked you to do. And I get it. I know that staffing is, the most, the biggest part of our budget, but we asked you to look at the whole thing. We don't even have access to the whole budget. We have access to, what's in the budget. We can't go through line by line and say, I went through line by line and questioned every line, but I don't have access to what's in there. You have to do that. I don't know what each of those lines represents. So it really, I just want to say that I'm really disappointed that we can't do it. You have to do it. You didn't do it. And so I will vote, I have to pick between one of the three, I guess. And I don't like this. I don't like this. That's what I have to say.
All right, any other board comments before we call a roll call?
Excuse me, this is Amy, and I agree with Elizabeth with the amount of information that we were provided, not being able to see the various line items. I know it's perhaps the way a budget is designed now with the software, but before we were able to see every line item within a department. And now all we see is just a line that doesn't give any of the specifications. So it's really hard to see how that money is being spent.
And truly, like at the last meeting, had the union representatives not spoken up, you have obstructed in such a way using like broad language. We couldn't have known that what you were talking about was these specific subjects. You gave us a rundown of your priorities but then we have one line in a whole book that says teacher salaries, and we have a pie chart of what that represents. But we know that teacher salary or staffing is the most expensive. We know that, but we don't have any idea what else is represented by that one line, and it is constantly referred to as the pie chart or the bar chart. And I think I don't think it's helpful. And I think if you can do lots of pivot tables, if you know how to do pivot tables, it should have a way for anybody to be able to access what is represented in there. And not just by teachers, but by all of the, like, if you wanted to take it apart, you should, I feel you should be able to. And because otherwise it just looks like, I am eager to do the homework for this job. I want to do the homework for this job, but, I feel like I pushed hard over the course of like 7 or 8 years to try to get us to a place where we could budget our values. And now we are back at the place where we're just being handed a budget and being asked to approve it. And like, how do we budget our values? How do we as a board budget our values if we're just being handed a budget?
I don't take any of this lightly. Like, I know the positions do equal people, and I know some of these people personally and are very close friends with. And I hear what you're saying too, but I also hold our administrators and their values that I have to trust in that too, that they are bringing their values to the table, that they showed us each week that we've been here, each month. That I hear what you're saying, but I just want to say that I do value what the administrators brought to us as far as this goes.
Oh, I don't, I'm sorry to imply that, that I don't value that. I know these were difficult discussions. Of course they are. But, these are really hard decisions, and it's even harder to make a decision without all of the information.
Well, I will say that, apologies for not coming back with non-facing cuts. I think from the time we met until the break was about 2 weeks. And as Kate said, we had about 8 meetings that we squeezed in with the union to try to figure out the staffing piece of it, and didn't get to the other piece, which in my mind is not a big piece, to be honest with you. Like,
Non-facing cuts also have a ripple effect.
yeah.
Right, because those people are seniority and then they still. And I showed that to the union manager where they're coming from, and I feel fortunate. I know I use this phrase a lot, but I am really pro Windsor. We're the best CFO in the state, and we're lucky to have them. And I know that because people try and get them to leave here all the time as job offers, and I threaten my friendship. Yeah, we're lucky because he knows, you see it, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He knows the impact that they're gonna have, and in his ideal world, he'd get to call the shot. He wouldn't even have to give it to us. He would say, "This is the decision. This is what the number said." But then I come back with the nuances. No, we have this and that. So,
well, the other piece is, what is the budget book not getting you that you want? Because this was introduced last year, and the feedback was phenomenal on this software that can show, and I believe it digs down. Maybe it needs to dig down more. I don't know, but if it's not giving you what you need, we need to know that so we can adjust. But the feedback last year was super positive about it, and I think this is a really tough budget year, and so
Last year was too.
last year was. I think this is worse. I think, to your point, Elizabeth, we came last month. We weren't ready to. I mean, we presented the draft budget book. We had some ideas. We weren't ready to get into the nitty gritty. That was for tonight, and we needed the time to dig in, and we did that. I feel like we did that. Did our due diligence on that. But if there are pieces that you want that aren't being shown, and take feedback, and we will improve the process. So certainly, the intent is not to keep the board in the dark. That is absolutely opposite of our goal. So
One of the issues comes down to the simple fact that you have buildings and you have to keep that building open. And so, and I'm not saying anything no one knows, but I think the main issue here is to look at the fact that, looking at the enrollment numbers, that really is the pressure here. And at some point, as a board, looking at our values, we have to start thinking about what's going to happen in 5 years, and then what's going to happen in 10 years. And we have to start making those plans now, not just looking at, well, what's the budget going to be next year? What are the enrollments going to do? What's going to happen to insurance? What's going to happen to state? And so,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Not really a budget question, but, if, as you were saying, most of the 30 kids who left our district were in 4th grade, are we looking at why, whether there was a cause?
Yeah, so we're literally going kid by kid, to verify everything, because we have to go with LGWADM, and we get these, updates, and we compare what's in our power school to what's the state is telling us is in our power school. And Ryan created a report, where we can click on each kid and find out. And they leave for all sorts of reasons. They go to Newport, New Hampshire, they go to Florida. We had 2 students of the same family leave. One played basketball last year, like in the summer. We thought we were gonna have them, and we did. And we had a little sister. So like, without getting into kids' names, they leave for all sorts of reasons. It seemed like a large number than normal, compared to what we brought in, the 48 students that we brought in. But Lori Brown is ridiculous in keeping outgoing notes. So that's what Ryan and I did this morning.
are there any food?
I think it like kind of balances out because you need something
Yeah.
right now.
Uh,
Go find something for you.
If you look right in front of where the screen is, right underneath the cart where there's a computer, there should be a bucket of food. Bars, things like that.
So when I say 4, a lot of them are 4th
Thank
grade
you.
students. I want to be clear, you're talking like 10 students. 10 students of 40 some odd students. So it's not like a huge
Okay.
number. It's not like
I was
30, 40.
picturing 40 students
No,
from
it-
grade 4.
No,
No.
it's not. It's 40 some odd students district wide.
Okay.
Just this year, or was it over? Because the
From
4th
the
grade
difference
class
between
is a
last-
big class.
The difference between last year and this year. So it could be that it's a bigger class,
Right.
but then
They were,
we're trying to
yeah.
compare. And also it's a snapshot in time. It's October 1st, right?
And it's less pre-K students,
There are less pre-K
less pre-K
students.
students.
This year in August through the end of September, I got more students enrolled in 1 year and they all happened to be coming into 7th grade. And I thought, what is happening? Just was the luck of the draw. Thanks.
Yeah, so
It'll change at the point in time.
it was the. No, yeah, just to be clear, when I say it's all, it wasn't all in 4th grade. It was a number that was surprising. Was 4th grade was the biggest trouble.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
It's the reality of being diabetic when you feel your blood sugar.
You need more?
I do, yeah.
You can just take the whole bin.
Okay, approved it, but.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate everyone sticking around for a long conversation about this. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. I think that, I commend our administration and the folks in our SU office for really taking the time to address those in this moment. And also, even if it did not get into the granularity of looking at either non-student facing costs or material costs. I appreciate that there was the capacity and will to put in some hard work a really tough time of year to make a plan B. I think two thoughts just hearing what everyone's saying and yeah, bringing us to where we gotta make a decision on this is I think yes, the concerns about the granularity of it, that is something that we can bring into next year. I mean, we need to be having this process. I think that the presentation of the tool that is being used is appropriate. It has been adequate for my needs, but I think we want to make sure that if we want to drill down as far as possible, we should look into that.
I do think that the budget book is great, works great
Sure.
for the average taxpayer. It's one of probably a person just super anal and likes to
For years, I heard,
spend my Friday evenings looking at this stuff. That's
for years, I heard, can you give us something that is not just a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper, on a printout,
yeah,
on a board meeting night?
Yeah.
Could we have it at the click of a button from a phone, from a computer,
Yeah.
months before the board meeting occurs?
Yeah.
And, maybe in my haste to deliver that, you lose some of the color and the detail.
and
So I'll work on that.
you've really done a remarkable job with all of that, Larry. And I really, I deeply apologize for implying that you haven't been doing a remarkable job. It's just hard.
When you see teacher salaries, how many
Yeah.
teachers are in the salaries?
Yeah.
And I think, in the spirit of continuous improvement that we all come to this process with, it's we go with it.
One of the things that came up from the budget advisory committee was, we were asked multiple times, and I think it was a timing thing, really, because by the time we got to December, it was almost too late. They wanted to see all the things that you're talking about by department, by FTE count, right, in a table, just like we did for Weathersfield. I didn't feel comfortable doing that because it would out the teachers
Right.
before they had been told that they were possibly going to be ripped. We couldn't put that publicly out before we had talked to the teachers. By the time we did that, it was already December. And then now we're comparing plan A, plan B, and what do I put in the budget books? This is plan A, not voted on yet by the board. This is plan B, not voted on yet.
Right.
Once you guys pick a plan, then it'll go in the budget books. But
Yeah.
it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah, this
Maybe we could have a separate board packet of some type that I can work on that next year.
Yeah, I think that's a process discussion we have later, but just to kind of wrap up my
Yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
here, with you, and it's all good. When we talk about non-student facing folks, when we talk about materials costs too, that also reduces the quality of what we're able to deliver. And I think that we've experienced that firsthand with, we know that if we put off replacing a roof year after year after year after year, and other places, eventually you're gonna have the roof. I think we're all very aware of what's happening in Woodstock, and I mean that's maybe the most extreme example of like and Hartford. I think that it is really understandable and like deeply humanly understandable living in these small communities that you want to find those other places. But eventually that leads to other problems that ultimately impact the ability to deliver highest quality education. And I think that, as Megan mentioned, our administrators work with everybody every day in these buildings. We live in these communities. These are people we know. We might have worked with them before. Like there's all sorts of connections here, and that is not lost on me. And I'll say it one more time. I really appreciate the time and effort into making sure that there was an option B here, and making sure that we were not just hitting a compliance number. And I also appreciate that was the first thing we got, because that is kind of the charge. And like when something like that comes down from the state, I think that finding a way to make that transition in a way that is as the least disruptive possible way of doing that. Because the impression that I've gotten about Act 73 is that isn't a part of it that anybody is really budging on. But we also do have a 3-year window to work on that and figure out other ways of doing that, and being creative with how our staff are placed and how our services are provided without simply immediately getting that under and then just moving on from there. So yeah, I'm appreciative of reviewing this process. It's really hard. It's not fun. And yeah, at a certain point, we just got to make a decision on it. So, with that in mind, I will take a roll call vote. And I will start with Amy. How do you vote?
For Plan B, I vote aye.
All right. Bill?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. So Plan B is adopted as our budget. And thank you, everyone.
I'll make sure everything is budgeted in the budget book based on the vote, based on the error that is.
Appreciate it.
Oh, Larry, that was the second vote as well. It wasn't a.
All right.
Compensation. Listed wrong on the resources.
Oh, I think that when you taught yourself that it's also all of it. You had to do it.
Are we, if we're ready to move on, because we do have a number more quick items here. I could also, if folks need it too, we can do a quick recess.
Already done, and
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Sorry.
it's just gonna make the meeting go longer, but, all right. So,
That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
all right, so we are on to item 6B, which is the February budget informational meeting. So just logistics, date and time.
Yeah, so typically we go the week before, but it is school vacation, so we'd like to propose February 18th at, I believe we do a 6 o'clock in room 210 has worked quite well the past couple of years for logistics.
Was that
It's a Wednesday, it's usually a
Could
Wednesday.
you repeat that, please?
Yes. We typically do the week prior,
Uh-huh.
but because that's a school vacation week,
Uh-huh.
we'd like to propose the 18th of February. We could propose Monday, but it is a SU board meeting on the 16th of February, so that's why, that date doesn't work unless we want it to. And Heartland will be the 17th, so proposing the 18th of February for the budget informational meeting with
And
the
just a
public.
meeting, no dinners and things like that, yeah.
I think last year we axed the dinner because people weren't going to it.
Mhm.
And I think that worked fine. I think
Yeah.
we had some like coffee and refreshments, right?
We do
And
that, yeah.
it was upstairs in
210, yep.
Yeah, I think the model that went last year was really appropriate.
You want cookies and coffee?
Cookies and
Yeah.
coffee.
6 or, whatever, I can't remember, do we just, is it normally 6:30? I get them all mixed up in my head.
6 is early.
I'm okay with 6:30. I mean, that
6:30?
doesn't usually
Okay.
last very long. So I'm okay
6:30.
starting at
We got it.
the start time. Right, and you say it's Kate, is that
Kate, yeah, she's agreed
Yeah.
to moderate again.
excellent?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I'll just give her the date tonight.
All right, yeah, that works.
Okay.
One last glance, I think I looked at it earlier and it looks,
Wednesday.
that's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
All right, any discussions, questions about that? I know we don't need to vote on it all, it's just a thing we need to be aware of.
Does that work for everybody?
All right, Item 6C, the excess spending threshold letter. As it came up multiple times in our budget discussion, we've already talked about the SU level. Christine has written a very, very nice letter of advocacy to convey to our representatives in Montpelier to ask that they raise the excess spending threshold, and for all of the reasons that we discussed when we were talking about budget. And I'll just say one more time emphatically, I don't really like saying the word excess before it because it's just a spending threshold. There's nothing excess about the spending that we're doing. We're meeting our operating costs and fiscal responsibility. And I think that Montpelier needs to raise that and not punish districts and local taxpayers for meeting our requirements.
So if you sent it around already to board members?
It's been sent around to, I distributed and kind of picked I think all of us would have seen it at the last SU meeting when it came up. I think that this was where we would
Decide if you want to.
we decide if we wanted to officially sign off on it as a unit, since we're meeting in this capacity now. So I'll tell you, I've individually sent it to people that I know a number of other folks have. Maybe the same as you have too, but.
So I think it's just whether or not you all want to sign off on it and then we get names on it and send it away.
Cool. Does anybody need to review the text again? You all have a chance to.
I've read it. I think it's definitely.
Excellent. And there was the one alteration about it being padded to inflation or not being responsive to inflation, which I think is actually the main metric that it is just not to any of the other things that are outpacing actual inflation, increasing costs. But yeah. All right. Well, I will take a motion to have the Mount Scotty School District Board officially sign on to the letter and advocacy of raising the excess spending threshold.
So moved.
All right. Any discussion? All right. I will take a roll call vote, starting with Amy. How do you vote?
Aye.
All right. Bill?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So
We're gonna coordinate.
we'll coordinate around it, but yeah, we'll be able to get that out. And,
Yep.
No.
I move that we let Nancy either move or second all of our movements henceforth. Until the end.
I think it's how it typically goes anyway, but I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, we don't need to actually have a vote on that, but I feel you. All right. So yeah, we'll correspond on that. And since we've agreed to it, just administrative tasks, we can work with the folks offline on that. 6D is public high school choice.
Yep, we have to set our numbers. And
We had a long discussion about it last
we
year.
did.
And I'd be happy to make a motion just to kind of keep it status quo.
If you want the actuals, we did the rundown today.
Okay.
The 5% or 10, whichever is fewer, is the 5%, which is 7 students and 13. 7 and
So we can do 7, we can take 13.
we can I'm sorry, it's 7 not to exceed 13 in all 4 levels. I believe that's
Right.
which grade level.
Didn't we just have it as 10 last year?
We had it as 10.
Yeah.
You can keep it as 10. That's the exact, but you certainly keep it as 10. Whatever the board prefers. We don't get a lot of students that leave under public high school choice, and we don't take in a lot.
Correct.
So.
But I do think it's worth mentioning in the newsletter because I think people are unaware of it. And I think that we might guess our students for a variety of reasons more aware of it. I think people find out.
Yeah. Okay. One thing to remember is there's no median penalty.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So sounds like folks are generally amenable to what administration is recommending here. Can you state again what it is we've been mentioning?
It's Gosh, no, 7 not to exceed 13.
So
Well, the motion is that we pick a number that so
So you pick 10.
we pick 10.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna need a full motion out here. So,
I think you do.
Yes.
To set the public high school choice number at 10. I believe that's what we did last year.
excellent. All right. So I will take a motion to set the public school choice number at 10.
So move.
so second.
There we go. All right. I think we're at the point of the next. We can do a simple voice vote on that. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstention? Okay, everybody said. All right. 6E, election subcommittee. You and I have already connected on that. Larry, I think you and I have briefly connected on that, and I dropped the line with Aaron Minard, who is our district clerk.
Yep.
So it's on the radar yet. We haven't actually put a meeting on the books, but now that we just kind of put it out there, and we'll do what we've done for the last couple of years. We'll get together and just make sure that there's some of us focusing on logistics around town meeting day, how our elections run. Make sure that if any questions come up, they're being addressed and dealt with, and we're not running into any issues. So he's not here right now, but I'll thank Aaron Minard again for being willing to be our clerk. He did a fantastic job last year, and it's extremely helpful just to have somebody who is dedicated on that one day a year to making sure that the system works the way it needs to. All right. 6F MOU on the ABS grounds. This would be us approving, I think the MOU is in your packet. It's the same MOU that we saw before. We just opted to kick it out a month so that the West Windsor board could take a look at it and make sure they didn't have any changes to it. Matt Frederick got back to me and he said that there are no changes to it, but they have reviewed it now. So we are now in a position to approve it. So I will take a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding regarding the use of Albert Bridge School grounds. So moved.
Second.
All right. Excellent. And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. All right. So that passes. That is adopted. Right. Appreciate West Windsor Select Board for taking a look at that for us. I think somebody said they have a lawyer on their board too, so that was like really the big thing. Is we wanted to make sure it was airtight. But what has been happening is now officially agreed to in the document, which is good. Item 6G, we have a resignation, so I will turn that over to.
Yep.
Yep.
So we have the resignation of Kara Curtis. She is our middle level interventionist. In this process, she recognizes that she's the position that's going to be ripped. So she started looking for a job because she needs job security. And she asked permission to interview, which is what you need to do in Vermont. And I granted that permission because I felt like compassion for her and knowing that she needs a job. So she was offered the position, and I've worked with the superintendent in the district where she's going to go to, and we've agreed that he'll hold that position until February 27th, and she'll stay with us through February 27th, which really gets us to Vermont CAPS pretty much. That was kind of our thinking, calling in my brainstorming with her. And so she is asking for the board's permission to resign as of February 27th, which will guarantee her a position next year in another school district. So I would recommend the board accept that resignation.
All right. Okay, and can you just say her name one more time?
Her name is Kara Curtis.
Kara Curtis.
Yep.
She's right there.
Oh, she's online. Kara
Okay.
is online. There she is.
Excellent.
Hi, Kara. I
Hello.
didn't see you. I'm sorry.
All right, so I will take a motion to accept the resignation of Kara Curtis.
So move.
All right, thanks. And yeah, I think that, you know, particularly given the circumstances, it makes sense.
And I want to congratulate
Yes.
Christine and Kara, for a very professional transition. And so,
Thank you very much.
thank you for your
Thank you,
service.
Christine and Colleen, very much, and Jordan, very much. Thank you. And the board, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Kara, for, you know,
Yeah.
for your
She's
service.
done
to
an,
our
she's done an
community.
amazing job, and
And-
we're fortunate to have her.
Yes, and best of luck in your new role too.
She connects amazingly with our students every day.
All right, so that gets us to the end of item 6. So we are officially. Oh, we didn't vote. I'm so sorry. It's the after 9 o'clock.
Yep.
All right, so I will take a voice vote on this one. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, and that's happening. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, and now we are on to item 7, setting the next agenda. I heard it mentioned, but it's not on my calendar yet. Is the next meeting February 2nd?
The next meeting is, hold on, let me pull up the calendar.
I think there's nothing. Excuse me, there's nothing in Google Calendar.
There's nothing in Google Calendar? Oh,
I don't
that's
think
not
so.
good. I have a 6:30 MASD school board meeting on the 2nd of February
Oh,
in my calendar.
I would maybe have to
Looks-
double check.
It looks like she didn't invite the board.
I wouldn't have rejected it. Yeah. I looked
I
for
will-
those. Okay,
I
was
will
the
have
day
her do
made
that.
sense when someone said it. So because that is a few days before our second community dinner, we'll just put the item on that. We can work on that offline, just logistics.
It'll be dinners and.
What time? What day is it?
February 5th, Thursday, February 5th.
So you want that on the agenda or you don't?
Last time we did this, we just did a quick check-in a few days before to make sure
Okay.
that there weren't
Got
any
it.
loose ends, but again, as this is our third time, we're sorry about it now. We can just flags.
Yep.
Oh, you mean putting out an agenda, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick gut check on the next agenda.
Okay.
And I'll be in touch with my usual sign up list. I think we reached out to that sign us up. Then we'll find Mary McDonald, who loves helping us with.
Great.
We had 2 things from last.
Yes, I know one of them is we were going to discuss at the district level, and I think this came up at SU level. We wanted to talk about library
Library. Yep.
library services in our district. I think that's an important conversation.
Yep. Bill had sent you an email about the HATC bus, HATCT bus.
Yeah.
Being on the agenda.
Yeah.
In February.
Yeah, I recall that.
Okay.
I can go on there too.
And then we will come with our budget. The principals will come with the budget run through for the public information session.
Yep. Yeah,
that
we'll
presentation.
give that a look before the meeting a couple weeks later.
Yep.
Anything else that needs to go on there? Or is it just going to be admin report? Do we have any student participation learning or anything?
Not until March.
Until March?
February's, the big focus will be the budget information.
Absolutely.
Report. Yeah. Run through.
All right. Anything else from the rest of the board you want to see on the agenda, or are we?
Oh, also accessibility updates.
Yes,
Was one of the things.
that was. Thank you for. Yep, we wanted
Yes.
to talk about accessibility.
And you
updates
want
to-
Jim to be invited to that meeting?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can speak the most directly to it.
Yep.
And it's always great to see Jen.
Yep.
I look forward to it.
Got it.
All right. Yeah, and I think that should that shouldn't overburden that meeting, but those are things that I would like to talk about sooner than later.
Okay.
So, okay.
Good.
All right. So that brings us to item 8, which is adjournment. So I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting of the United States School District Board.
Come on.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Does anyone have the,
Did Amy say aye?
I
There we go.
Thanks,
Okay.
Amy.
I felt it in my heart.
does anyone